Hi, and welcome to the Redbook Summer Beach Reads Book Club. I'm Tiffany Blackstone, and joining me today is Sara Shepard, author of the juicy new book, The Heiresses. Say hi, Sara.
Hi.
If you want to ask her a question, please tweet us using the hashtag RBKBeachReads. I'm also joined by Meg Foy, senior web editor,
Hey, everyone.
Andy Fowler, who's a huge
Hi.
fan of Sara's, and from Los Angeles, we have Jade Cheng with Goodreads. Jade?
Hi, everybody. So for anyone who doesn't know yet, Goodreads is the world's largest site for readers and book recommendations. We have more than 30 million members all around the world, so you can always find a friend who wants to discuss Sara Shepard books with you. And it's not just readers. We also have more than 100,000 authors who are members of the site, including Sara. So Sara, let's start it off with your book is this really juicy description of a prestigious New York family that is rocked by a serious curse. So I'm wondering if you could give me just a quick synopsis of the book and let us know how you came up with the idea.
Okay. First of all, this is really exciting. This is my first Google Hangout, so it's really fun. I'm glad it's all working technologically. So The Heiresses is about a family, a very wealthy family. They're in the diamond business. So it's this very glamorous life in New York City. Most of them are based there. And it is mostly about a group of cousins. There's a group of girl cousins. They're all about in their 20s, early 30s. And their kind of anchor is Poppy Saybrook. It's the Saybrook family, and Poppy Saybrook is the oldest cousin, and she is beautiful and has it all together, and she kind of holds them all together as a group, kind of like Allie in Pretty Little Liars, but she's nice as opposed to Allie, which is she's not nice at all. So anyway, about pretty early in the novel, Poppy ends up dead. She falls off the balcony of her office, and the rest of the book is kind of figuring out how that could have happened. Did she commit suicide? What were her secrets? Could somebody have killed her? But there's a lot of other really, really fun stuff going on in the book as well. There are a lot of relationship scandals. There's kind of a party girl thing going on. There's kind of the black sheep cousin who is super sketchy, and there's all sorts of glamorous parties and fashion and jewelry, and it's a really, it was a really, really fun book to write, because the audience was a little bit different, but still sort of that same readership that I think would like Pretty Little Liars, just maybe grown up a bit. As far as where I got the idea, I've always been interested in the Kennedys, who apparently, have a curse. So I thought that, that would be fun. I wanted to have another murder mystery. I wanted to write another murder mystery book, and I wanted to write about New York because I lived in New York for a long time, and I don't live there anymore, and I'm kind of sad not to live there anymore. And yeah, I mean that's kind of how it came together. It was, as all books are, it was kind of a long process making everything work and making everybody's stories work. But I think it turned out pretty well.
Well, there are 5 cousins and a lot of storylines. How did you keep them all straight? Do you map them out beforehand? Do you have a Bible where you're like, okay, this is the person this heiress is sleeping with?
With any book that I write, whether it's Pretty Little Liars, whether it's Lion Game, anything I'm writing, I always have an outline, and I usually have pretty long descriptions of who these people are. And sometimes that changes. Rowan Saybrook, one of the characters, was pretty different when I started out, and she turned into this sort of guy's girl, always, the best friend and never the one the guys go for. But she wasn't that to start with. So it's always evolving. But yeah, outlines are critical, especially for mysteries, because you always have to know who did it before you start writing, and then you have to work you have to work backwards. So that's how I always work with any book that I write, because all of my books involve murder.
You have to keep the murderer straight. Well, something else about the Heiresses that we find out, as soon as the book opens, is that they are hounded by the media and paparazzi, and there's even a website called The Blessed and the Cursed that is run by like this anonymous stalker type, kind of like A from Pretty Little Liars, that outs all of their scandalous secrets. When Pretty Little Liars hit big and you became kind of sort of famous, not kind of sort of, famous, have you at all since found that the internet can be kind of a blessing and a curse for you?
I haven't had too much weird stalkery stuff on the internet. It was funny, I actually looked up myself on Wikipedia a couple months ago or something, and it said that my dad was dead and my mom was Canadian, which is not true at all. So, yeah, I mean, it is strange, and actually when Pretty Little Liars came out, all of this was not here. Social media wasn't nearly as big as it was. MySpace existed, but and there was something called Friendster, but it was not the same. It was not the same. And so when I was having people text and whatever in those books, it was kind of really, really a new thing. Now it's kind of par for the course, like not strange at all. No, I mean I haven't. I try to stay pretty private, I guess, about certain things about my life. Although I'm beginning to realize maybe getting out there a little bit more is kind of fun, because I think a lot of readers want to know what I'm up to, even if it's boring stuff. Like, I just had a baby. Like, it's kind of boring to me, but people want to see pictures of that, which is a little strange. But I think it's I have a really great fan base, and everybody's really enthusiastic, and that's a lot of fun for me.
Oh, well, congratulations on the baby. Jade has another question for you.
Yeah, congratulations on the baby. You are starting to build your own family dynasty there.
Yes.
So you said that you were fascinated by the Kennedys, and I'm wondering what kind of research you did. I'm wondering if you modeled the Saybrook family after the Kennedys or after one of the other real-life American dynasties like the Rockefellers or the DuPonts. And also, kind of a little bit of a two-part question here. I loved the quote that you used at the very beginning of the book. It's so kind of mysterious and evocative and so perfect for this book, and I'm wondering whether you came across it earlier in your reading and it kind of inspired the book, or if you just, or if you found it later on. I don't know if you remember the quote by heart, but if not, I have it written here. I can also read it.
Go ahead, read it.
I don't remember it because I think I've had to find a couple of other quotes for some other books since then. And I know I had a lot of possibilities for the quote. So which one? I can't remember which one we went with.
Okay, it was. That's okay. It was the John Webster quote, and it was, "Whether we fall by ambition, blood, or lust, like diamonds, we are cut with our own dust."
Right. Okay. Yeah, there were a lot of. I was looking up, Kennedy quote. I had all kinds of. They usually come last for me, as do titles of novels. I am not someone who comes up with a title first and then works the book around it. I know people other writers, they have their titles right away, and they know exactly what it's going to be. I'm never like that, and that's the way it is with the quotes at the beginning of the books too. I really was just searching for something that had maybe diamonds in it, something that was sort of spooky and ominous and stuff like that. So usually I just go through a whole bunch of possibilities, and the thing with having quotes in the front of the book too is, you can't use anything too current because then you have to go through this whole legal process of like clearing it and getting permission and whatever. So that one worked really well. That was perfect. But as far as any research, I read a bunch of books on the Kennedys and kind of like studies on really, were these people actually cursed, or were they just too ambitious and, daredevils, and is that sort of, and just sort of a lot of background about Joseph Kennedy and what he was like as the patriarch of the family. I would say mostly I based it on them. I read a little bit about the DuPonts because the DuPont family had a lot of property kind of where I grew up outside Philadelphia. So there were all kinds of crazy stories about them. But mostly I just looked at the Kennedys. And the thing that was interesting to me was whether, curses really do exist, or if it's just the attitude of the family and how kind of ruthless and ambitious they've become. Like they won't take, they'll only take the best, and how far are they going to go, and what does that lead to? So, and they have access. That's the thing with the families. They have all this. They have anything at their disposal. They have a private plane. They can fly their own planes. They have boats. They have all sorts of accident-prone things. So there's that too. But it was fun looking into all that stuff, and deciding for myself whether I thought a curse really was real or not. For the Sabrooks, it definitely is. So,
do you think the Kennedy curse is real?
I want to think that it is, only because it's I like the mythology of that. But I think there's some truth in it's maybe part of their personalities as well, to seek out thrills and danger and situations that would put them in danger, and maybe that leads to this curse as well. And they're also very ambitious and famous, and they're in the spotlight, and we see them more, so we see their tragedy, in a way that we don't see other families' tragedies. So I don't know. I want to say yes because that's a lot of fun. But
Live big, you're gonna die big too. Yes.
Angie, you have a question?
Yeah. So as Tiffany said, you saw a lot of success with the Pretty Little Liars series. You have 24 other young adult novels and 2 other adult novels. This one's squarely in the adult novel category. It has a couple steamy sex scenes in it. Have you found there's a difference in your writing process when you're focusing on adult versus young adult, and do you enjoy writing one over the other?
I really like adult. I have 2 other adult novels as well that are just standalone. They're not murder mysteries. And it is a more, I don't want to say it's a more thoughtful process, but it's, I feel like I really have to dig deep with the characters because they're older, they have more of a history, their wants and needs are a little bit different than teenagers. Their angst is a little bit different. It's more about, they're more fully formed in a way. That said, of course, I love young adult because I've written so much of it. But as far as the process goes, I just try to spend as much time as I can on the characters, and scenes can slow down a little bit. Pretty Little Liars, the scenes are very, very fast, and they're edited to be very quick, and we get to the next cliffhanger, to the next big moment. But Heiress, I was able to kind of spend a little bit more time. In fact, I would have loved it if the book could have been 100 pages longer, and I think my first draft was 100 pages longer. Just all about these characters. But it's that's kind of the difference that I see. But I still outline. I still write in the same process. But yeah, I just try to. I can spend a little bit more time with the characters, I would say.
Our last hangout was came right around the time that the Slate article was released, saying that adults shouldn't be reading YA. It wasn't kind of worthy enough of adult readership. But I read YA. I know tons of adults who read YA. You have a huge adult readership for Pretty Little Liars. So why is it that you think some people feel like YA isn't worthy of adult readership, and kind of what is it that adults are getting from it and shouldn't feel ashamed about, because they're reading it?
I read that article too, and it's like, I don't know. Back when I was a teenager, there was not much YA that was particularly quality.
Yeah.
This was in like the 80s, 90s. But now I feel like there's such good writing, as good as adult novels, for sure. There are such interesting topics, from the dystopian novels to just kind of, sort of reality-based, fiction. I think that's crazy to say adults shouldn't read YA. It's just about a different age group, really. And I suppose it's speaking to teenagers. But I think that the thing that's fun about adults reading YA, and I read lots of YA, is we've all been there. We all, kind of universally experience a lot of these, these same feelings that these characters are going through. And I think for me, that's kind of comforting to oh yeah, I remember what that felt like, and this author has demonstrated that so well. And I don't know, I think it's kind of a crazy thing to say that they shouldn't read YA. Like it's, you're not challenging your brain or something, because good writing is good writing. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's even in like little children's books, Mm-hmm. It's wherever you find it. So. Yeah. Well, I would write a response to that saying, no, read YA.
You should write a response. Well, I know Meg has a question for you from one of our social media networks.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of these roles and these characters that you created, so everyone's sort of playing the perfect role at first, like from the PTA mother to the habitually single party girl to the perennial best friend. This causes them each to reach a breaking point in the novel. Do you find that they have to reach this breaking point in order to really find their own happiness? And I felt like this really relates to all women in a way. What interested you in this theme, and do you think all women experience this at some point?
Oh yeah, I mean, perfection is I'm always interested in that theme, and that's a Pretty Little Liars theme too. That it's this perfect seeming town, and then it has all this seamy underbelly. But the Saybrook's life is like that too. They seem perfect on the outside, but they're rich and they're beautiful, and they can do no wrong, and media loves them, or media hounds them, but they're media darlings, but it's kind of like we all. Underneath, they have the same struggles as anybody else. Rowan has a hard time finding a relationship, and Corinne is marrying the wrong guy, and Aster is just a mess, for example. So, it's, and even Poppy Poppy was hiding a really, really big secret about her family that we find out at the end of the book, and she was struggling with that too. So I do think that, we all have our insecurities, and we all have our, the things that we're not proud of, and I feel like eventually they do all kind of come to a head, and we have to address them. And if we don't, that's, I don't know. It's almost. I think it's a good thing to address them, and I feel like I kind of explore that in every book that I write, in one way or another. And even looking at lives of people that I know, it's just so interesting to have those secrets come out and those struggles come out and those breaking points, and that's really fun writing for me.
Ever use any of your the secrets that you find out as material?
I'm trying to think. I know that I have. This book the secrets are really crazy. They're like, in that the Sabrooks are sort of this sort of amazing family. The secrets are sort of at that amazing level of, they're not unbelievable, but they're not run-of-the-mill secrets. But, probably for other books I have in small ways. But yeah, like, having a stalker, illegitimate children, or sleeping with your teacher, or, the big secret that Poppy's hiding. Those are just, dreamed up.
Yeah.
Or looked, or I read a lot, too, as far as, as just interesting stories that come up about people, whether it's a celebrity or whether it's just a strange, story that I read in the New York Times or something like that. So secrets can come from anywhere.
Jade, do you have another social media question for Sara?
Yeah, this is actually a good follow-up question to that. Actually, so you pointed out earlier that a lot of your books involve a murder, and a Goodreads member named Jules says, you write about so many scandals. Was there ever a scandal in a town that you grew up in?
I don't know if there was a scandal there. Strangely, I knew a couple people who were kidnapped, which is, it was not really while we were friends, or one of them was a friend of my mom's, and one of them was a girl that I grew up with, and so at an early age, that was really interesting to me, which is probably why I kind of latched on to, especially in Pretty Little Liars, Allie going missing, and even in the Heiresses, just like, this sort of this whole scandalous life. So there was that, but mostly I've had a pretty. I'm trying to think. There are some other personal stories that were pretty scandalous within families, and or that I heard from other families that I feel like every family has something. There's no, I don't know anybody where there's just everybody's lives are perfect, and they have great relationships, and everybody stays married, and there's no like secret children somewhere. I feel like it's all stuff that you find everywhere. But yeah, the kidnapping thing, I feel like that really resonated with me at an early age. Just like, what's that like? And oh my gosh, that is such a big deal. And I found that really fascinating.
Yeah. Did they find
what
her?
What happened to them? Were they found?
Both of them were fine. And it was for ransom money. It's so crazy.
Wow.
And but I didn't know them well enough, and I think that was another thing as kind of an imaginative kid, like to try to think like what I wasn't able to ask them what that was like, so I just tried to imagine it. And yeah.
All right. Well, it's almost time to wrap up, but I know what everybody wants to know is, well, you have a new baby, so you may not be reading too many things this summer, but what would you love to be reading at the beach this summer, or what's on your list?
What have I read? I just started a book, and I can't even tell you the name of the author. I just started a book called The Actress, and I cannot tell you who it was by. I recently read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I thought was really great. I read a book called The Headmaster's Wife.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, that was really good. I read a book by the same woman who wrote Admission. She wrote
Astonishment.
Should Have Known.
Yes.
I actually have done a lot of reading. Sitting around with a new baby, you do get to, it's kind of boring. So
they sleep a lot. Nobody ever tells you that they're going to sleep so much. Nobody ever tells you that they'll sleep so much.
Right. They sleep a ton, and you're just like you're watching them. So yeah, I've actually done a lot of reading, so that's nice. As far as YA, I just downloaded a book by E. Lockhart called We Were Fires. Apparently, it's doing pretty well. And I just started that, and it's a little bit Heiress-y. It's kind of about a rich family as well. So that's kind of fun to read. And books that I want to read that I haven't yet. Oh man, I'm trying to think what I've downloaded. You know what I've done? I have never read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, amazingly. So that is kind of also on my Kindle list to read all of those. So I heard they're long. So
They are long, but they go amazingly quickly.
Yes,
They go amazingly quick. They're such fast reads. So before we kind of sign out, we want to do a fun little lightning round. Just quick answers, and if you want to follow up, tell me. Okay, so best form of jewelry, family heirloom or a big fat diamond?
Oh, big fat diamond.
Best TV drama, Revenge or Scandal?
Revenge. I'm a big Revenge.
I have to say, I think Jade said that Heiress kind of reminds me of Revenge.
Yeah, you know what? When I started working on like the materials to sell the Heiresses, I had been watching a lot of Revenge at the time.
In a good way, though. In a good way. Okay, best epic bestseller, The Thornbirds or Gone with the Wind?
I would say Gone with the Wind. I'm a big Gone with the Wind.
Best place to write, city or country?
I can write anywhere. I guess I would say the country is a little more quiet, but I did plenty of writing in New York.
Best beach read, trashy romance or tearjerker?
I would say tearjerker. I'm not a big trashy romance reader. Not a huge one, so I would say tearjerker.
What's your favorite tearjerker?
I haven't read a tearjerker lately.
I know. It's been a while, actually.
Yeah,
since
that's why it's a little bit, God, I'm not a big crier at books. You know what book I cried at? This is so sad. I cried at Marley and Me. That's the last book I cried at.
I cried at the movie.
I think everyone did, yeah.
I did.
No, I just loved the dog.
Yeah,
so.
you can't not.
Yeah. No, my bad thing was I forgot that the dog died at the end, and I watched it with my daughters, and they were so upset.
I couldn't even watch the movie because I read the book and I just was like, I know what's gonna happen at the end, and I just can't. Yeah, that's what I cry at.
Okay. Okay. A couple more. Best way to read: Kindle or paperback?
I love reading paperbacks, but I have to say right now, Kindle.
Yeah. Yeah, easier. Best mystery heroine, Agatha Christie or Nancy Drew?
I love Nancy Drew. I love both of them, but I love that Nancy Drew. She's great.
And best queen of the romance, Danielle Steele or Jackie Collins?
I have probably read more Danielle Steele, so I will say Danielle Steele.
Yep. All right. Well, Sarah, it's been great. This has been so much fun. Thanks so much for joining us. Go to redbookmag.com/beachreads for recaps from all of the Hangouts, and follow us on Facebook and Goodreads for news about future Redbook Reads Hangouts. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sarah.